Hey everybody, it's Fabled Ways here, and I can't sleep. I got my Pfizer shot today, and it's actually hitting me pretty hard, so I'm way too warm and not feeling all too well. So instead, I figured I would make this video. Now, I've made these videos with job tier lists before, but what I specifically want to do with this one, and I promise you that it's purely for this, I want to list the jobs that were most fun to me. This is not a tier list as in damage. You know, I'm going for fun, like roller coaster fun, like wee fun, not the oh my god I'm doing 999,000 DPS fun. Let's go with the order that they already have here. So Astrologian, they definitely had a little bit of an issue trying to finalize what they already had, and that was good about Astrologian. What I mean with that is that Astrologian was never really bad or not fun, in my opinion, but whenever they made a step in the right direction, it for whatever reason always resulted in them having to move 2 steps back, and that's kind of something I don't like. For example, Sleeve Draw felt really nice in the way that it was handled, but then they changed Sleeve Draw the moment they made Astrologian actually manageable with mana and actually fun. So I felt that that was a little bit of a trade-off. A job that I've played a lot, Bard. I'm putting B Bard because of the fact that I played a lot of Bard, and as much as I like playing Bard, it didn't feel super special. It was a nice and easy job for me to constantly play and get easy clears on for DR and that kinds of stuff. And I can do a lot of damage with it. I'm usually like second or first in terms of DPS when it comes to Bard. But that doesn't mean that I had a super exciting amount of time. In fact, I think I was more on edge with disappointment than anything. What I mean with that is I was often dreading the idea of having Minuet's perfect pitch expire just at 1 second, where you get 2 stacks and you're like, I can't get that in real quick because I wasn't expecting it. Everybody knows that pain of 1 second left and then you suddenly get 2 pitch perfects. Everybody knows that pain that's played Bard. So I hope that they do something exciting with Bard. I hope that they actually make it a much more fun job and don't just add Apex Arrow. So I hope that it's going to be fun in Endwalker. Black Mage. I will put this in A tier. Black Mage I didn't enjoy much at all before. However, now with the amount of changes that they put into it, which weren't gigantic changes whatsoever. It was never a ginormous type of change, if you get what I mean. It was always simple, nice touches, and those simple, nice touches were enough for me to start enjoying Black Mage in this expansion. Specifically, the amount of times you actually get to move now with triple cast, swift cast, with Xenoglossy, and all just the Thunder 3 procs, or Thunder 4 if you're in packs. It was a lot of fun, and putting out high numbers in big groups, especially like treasure maps or simple dungeon runs just for expert. This was a lot of fun. Black Mage definitely improved. Alongside it, I will put Dancer. Dancer was fun for me because of the fact that it was something different and very easy. I definitely played Dancer a lot in this expansion as a way to turn off my brain. I went through Eden 1 to Eden 8, basically mostly trying to play jobs that I could turn my brain off for and just kind of like brain dead play while I was trying to focus on mechanics, because mechanically I am not the strongest player in the world. I recognize a lot of mechanics, I know how to resolve a lot of mechanics, but executing those mechanics I am not as great at. So something like Dancer that has en avant and very easy rotations and very easy cooldown management, very fun, very simple for somebody like me. Dark Knight. A lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but we'll get into why, and I'm actually going to break my rule of going by this order a little bit, and that is because I'm going to put Dark Knight here and Warrior here. The reason I go like that is that essentially, and this is kind of like probably the most disappointing part, is that Warrior and Dark Knight are pretty much one and the same in terms of classes. They don't want to achieve the exact same thing, with Dark Knight having the TBN situation to resolve and managing sort of your gauge with with Warrior, I always felt that Dark Knight was essentially sort of just Warrior 2.0, which is funny to me because Dark Knight within itself had most of its actions in terms of like what it was trying to do stolen then by Gunbreaker in terms of its cooldowns and that kinds of stuff. And Gunbreaker borrows from a lot of things. Like it borrows the defensive cooldowns from Dark Knight essentially and just reskins them. It has a single clemency from Paladin. However, even that single clemency from Paladin that they borrowed is still not as strong because it's a regen over time. So that's my tangent on tanks. Tanks were definitely not as fun in this expansion. Gunbreaker was definitely a lot of fun, especially if you could fit all of the buttons on your hotbars. I had to figure out a little way around that, but in the little times that I played Gunbreaker, I will say that I probably enjoyed it more than Dark Knight. Paladin, I always enjoyed Paladin. I think this would probably be the most accurate way to present my feelings on this as we quickly move the icons to be in a proper order. So Dark Knight kind of felt like Warrior 2.0. Gunbreaker felt like it was borrowing too much from other stuff, and Paladin kind of stayed in its own lane doing nice things because Paladin was just a ton of fun and a ton of fun rotating things around. But I am a 100% biased Warrior main. I stuck with that job even when it was at the bottom of the tier lists for damage and tanking and all that kinds of stuff because I love this job. I stuck by this job because I love the fact that it is such a self-sustaining job, and the fact that it can now also output some of the highest DPS in big pools is pretty damn fun. Maybe not the most, but it's high up there, at least in my opinion. And I do like seeing high numbers, I won't deny that. But it's a very self-sustainable and self-managing sort of job. So, you know, a lot of fun. Dragoon will go just over here, in my opinion. The reason for it is that Dragoon felt like it was in a constant flow of rotation, but in terms of the jumps, aside from speeding things up and a little less animation lock, I don't think much changed. Well, Stardiver got added, and that was nice, but I wish they had done something with Blood of the Dragon to sort of like vary things up, and I was severely disappointed that they didn't actually just rework that sort of ability in terms of Blood of the Dragon and managing the gauge and managing the timer. It's not horrible, but it's definitely above Bard for me, but I hope that they try to sort of rework Blood of the Dragon. But that's just my opinion. Of course, like, people love Blood of the Dragon as well. There's a certain group of people that does, so I'm not going to argue with them. This is just my opinion. Machinist, D. I'm brutally honest about this, and this is coming from a Machinist main. Playing Machinist and enjoying Machinist is very much a case of how much do you want to look at flashy stuff. And once you've seen, it's basically like the Jimmy Neutron sort of like, hey, this is the 9th time you've shown this. It kind of just goes on loop of like, oh my god, yeah, we get that robot, we get to summon a small mini Gundam thing, wow, and it's so cool the first time. And then it kind of just loses its touch, especially when you kind of depressingly notice that the two jobs, and I think it's also with a Scholar I'm less educated on because I kind of avoided it, but when you summon your special specific summon, they basically spend 5 or 6 seconds in a summoning animation for whatever reason, and that bothered me fantastically. I do not think that the timer should have been started that way, but the fact that they did, I just wish they had done something more interesting. Monk, I will put that, yeah, right here. So I started this expansion out as a Dancer main, and the moment I saw what they did with Monk in terms of how they did everything, because I wanted to get Dancer up ASAP for raiding with my group at the time, and right afterwards I started leveling Monk, and Monk was so much fun when the expansion started. And then time kind of passed and it suffered from the exact same thing as Astrologian suffered from, where it felt like Monk was having an identity crisis, if you get what I mean. Monk felt like it was having issues with itself and what it wanted to do, because it felt like the team wanted to avoid a situation where it was Stormblood Monk again, but they couldn't immediately do that. And it's the moment when they sort of introduced the Greased Lightning changes that the class started feeling like an A. That's when it started feeling like an A, but unfortunately it felt like an A, and then when you played it for an extended time, you were just like, I'm kind of just doing things blindly and just mindlessly going on a loop. There was very little nuance. I wouldn't say that Monk was necessarily boring. Like, it's not sea levels, but it was less exciting than Bard for me. And considering the only exciting part with Bard was getting as many procs as you can, Monk just swayed too many things. Ninja is going into S. When Ninja started in the expansion, it was a little bit of a this isn't the best. We were kind of hoping for more. They kind of took away a lot of the oomph from Ninja, but it still maintained a lot of its cool aspects. And the moment they started to buff it, I believe in 5.2, Ninja just exploded in terms of fun for me, because everything made so much sense. The way that they worked around the I think they wanted it to avoid the server tick aspect, if I remember correctly, but the way that they made it all work with the system, for the Mudra system, instantaneously made this job a 10 out of 10 in terms of fun. I'm too small brain to remember patterns, so that's why I don't play it as much, but it just became a 10 out of 10 in terms of fun. Incredible amounts of fun. In fact, you know what? Warrior's gonna join that. Why not? Red Mage. Red Mage fell into a formula of if it ain't broken, don't fix it. And you could definitely say that about Samurai as well, because the thing that they were good at before, they didn't change much. They just added more to it. Like the big boom at the end for your rotation, they just added something on top of it. And that's also the case with Samurai. It's just that your burst phase is when you were doing Midari, you just had to basically fit the Sen gauge in there to accommodate the potency increase, then the 1000 something potency attack, then made sure that happened between Midari and Midari 2, and then just kind of like figure things out from there. It kind of depended on your speed and how you wanted to do things, but it felt like all they did to Samurai was essentially, hey, we liked how we did Samurai before, we're going to do that again. Nothing wrong with that, but that is also the case with Red Mage. Hey, we added a couple of things for you that you can do in between things, or your kind of are necessities in terms of pressing your cooldowns. Like I used the new slashing thing that was supposed to be a replacement for displacement, like the ability displacement. I used that way more, but it felt like just an add tacked on portion more than it was a replacer. So more of the same, essentially. C is definitely the case of it's more of the same. Scholar is going into D because this is genuinely a disclaimer, I don't know Scholar. I don't like Scholar. I don't play Scholar often. All I know is that people that I've played with, the former Scholar mains in Stormblood and Heavensward, are telling me that the job isn't as fun as it used to be. Whether or not that's true, I can't say much, because I kind of avoided Scholar the most out of all healers. So I'm going to put it into D based on other people's reviews, and that's only from reviews from people that are within my vicinity. So if this upsets you, then I'm sorry, but this is what I heard. This is what I know. Yeah, no, this is a good place for Summoner. I love Summoner. I love the way that they kind of like dance between trances, and the fact that they are actually now able to switch pets like that, but that ended up being much less of a big deal than I originally anticipated. Just being able to switch out your pets just like that is a nice touch, but it ultimately didn't add or change or make for big things. Mini optimization, sure, if you had Titan out just specifically so you can have a little bit of extra mitigation for a specific cooldown or a raid wide or something like that, I get that. But in terms of what Contagion is gone, okay. But Contagion felt like a really nice way to sort of optimize the way that you use Garuda, and then you kind of switch out to Ifrit. That was a really nice thing to do in Stormblood. You kind of just had to mess with the AI a little bit, but it felt like you were doing something kind of big brainy. And now you don't really do that with Summoner. Not just that, I really hate the Ruination change. And I have said that from the very start. I want Ruination to be something that is a part of Tri-Disaster. I want it so that every rune that you cast in there is going to be a rune 4 as long as Ruination is active, so that rune deals more damage. I feel like the reason I want that is because I feel like it rewards juggling Tri-Disaster and refreshing your debuffs and kind of juggling trances, so you can get your Tri-Disaster up in time so you can juggle that a little bit more. They didn't do that. It was nothing new. And Phoenix, Phoenix was a nice addition, but okay. Why does it give a regen? Is still some of the stuff that I wonder. Like, why does it give a regen? It's nice that it has it, but what does it ultimately add? And I'm still waiting for the day that they actually add, Summoner Eggies, which I believe they promised back in 3.2 or 3.4. I think it was 3.25 or 3.45. Somebody can quote me on that and correct me and whatever, but I'm still waiting for the Eggies, especially with Elfino now dropping his job. I really want the Grey Carbuncle at least, but we haven't received any word for that, so it doesn't really seem like the Eggie system is much more than which flavor of Carbuncle do you want. And finally, you know what? I can't fool myself. This is probably the best place to put White Mage. White Mage is a stupidly easy job, and anyone that pretends otherwise is lying to you. Because to me, I don't know how to heal. I'm not a healer player. I don't have the mentality to heal. I'm way too busy focusing on DPS, and I'm way too stubborn to try to learn differently. That being said, anybody that tells you that playing a healer or playing White Mage is hard that's laughable. I cleared Diamond Weapon on White Mage, and I never played White Mage. It was just we didn't have anybody else that had a healer unlocked, so they looked at me with my all jobs unlocked at 80, and they just asked, hey, can you do it? They bought me gear just to enter because I was still stuck on the weathered gear. I didn't go past that point, aside from the relic weapon, when you buy it with the Thavnarian dust thing. So that was the only step that I completed. That was the only strong part of my gear. The rest is just weathered or bits and bobs that I picked up over time from dungeons and stuff like that. So that's how prepared I was for healing that with White Mage. They bought me gear and we cleared. We cleared multiple times. Is Diamond Weapon any indication of like this is how good you are? No, not at all. But I don't even know, like at the time I was looking at buttons and I didn't know what they were or what they did. I was genuinely confused. I didn't know which button was Benediction. I was constantly pressing Cure 3 thinking that was just a stronger Cure 1 or Cure 2. It's like you expend more mana, but you're going to... like, that's what I mean, is that I had no idea how to play the job to begin with. I don't know what Tetra did. I still kind of don't know what Tetra does. I won't pretend to know what Tetra does. I only really know or need to know a couple of skills, and that's Medica 2, Glare/Holy, Dia or Dia, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I said a size, I think. Asylum. And Medica 2, I definitely said. And that's mostly it. Oh, and then of course the lilies, like the Afflatus, but that's it. Don't pretend like White Mage is this super difficult job. But that being said, even though it is easy, it is a hell of a lot of fun. It is very fun to just kind of run into a pack, put down your Asylum, just say to the tank, hey, give me a moment, and just stun everything relentlessly. In any case, that is my tier list for Final Fantasy XIV jobs at the end of Shadowbringers. Remember that my list is based on how much fun I had with the job and not how strong they are. If it was based on strength, things would look a lot differently and it wouldn't look like such a mismatch of things, and Bard shouldn't even be anywhere close to B if that was the case. So definitely take this with a grain of salt if you're looking at this for a damage perspective, but this is just how much fun I had with every single job. In any case, what do you think? What are your thoughts on all of this? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to have a little chat with you about it, or just read your thoughts. And thank you very much. Thank you for putting up with a very feeling sick-ish, feeling kinda loomy, just been jabbed with the 5G juice Fabled Ways. And I'll see you in the next video, which is going to be very special.